On Saturday in Miami, England play a football match that officially means nothing. No trophy on the line that anyone will remember in 5 years. Third place, bronze. The game every player says they don't want to be part of, right up until they're standing in the tunnel for it. And normally I tell you to skip it, forget it. Wait for Sunday's real final instead. Except this one isn't nothing, because the team standing in England's way isn't just any team. It's France. And England have not beaten France in a World Cup knockout game in living memory. In fact, they've won just one of their last 9 matches against them. And the most recent defeat came 4 years ago, in a World Cup quarterfinal, in a game England had actually led. So before you write this off as a dead rubber, understand what it actually is. It's unfinished business dressed up as a consolation prize. Let's set the scene properly. Both these teams arrived in the US thinking they'd be playing on Sunday, not Saturday. France went through the tournament looking like genuine winners, brushing aside Morocco in the quarterfinal in imperious fashion. Then Spain happened. A 2-0 semi-final beating that stripped away every bit of the favorites tag France had been wearing since the group stage. And England, well, you know that story better than anyone. 90 seconds from a first final since 1966, and Argentina ripped it away in the cruelest possible way. So here we are. 2 teams who both believed, right up until midweek, that they were building toward Sunday at MetLife. Instead, they're building toward each other, in Miami, for a medal that neither of them wanted, and both of them now quietly, desperately need. Here's why this isn't just another forgettable playoff game for England. Go back 4 years. Qatar, the quarterfinal, England leading against this exact opponent, Harry Kane stepping up in the second half with the chance to make it 2-0 and put the game to bed. He put it over the bar. France held on, went through, and eventually reached that final. England went home asking the same question they always ask after these nights. What if? That miss has followed Kane for 4 years. It's followed this entire generation of England players, because that quarterfinal is the most recent example of exactly the pattern we just watched play out again against Argentina. England competing with the best teams in the world, getting themselves into a winning position against them, and finding a way to let it slip at the exact moment it mattered most. So when people call Saturday meaningless, I'd push back hard on that. This is the same opponent that ended England's last World Cup. This is the same captain who missed the kick that could have changed everything. And this is a chance, small and largely symbolic as it is, to finally get one back. And if that Qatar penalty feels like the obvious flashpoint, it isn't even the worst of it. Go back further, to a European Championship in Portugal. England leading France in the group stage deep into stoppage time, everything under control, 3 points basically in the bag, and then Zinedine Zidane happened. A free kick England should never have conceded, followed almost immediately by a penalty won, and converted in the last kick of the game, turned a routine England win into a gut-wrenching 2-1 defeat inside a matter of minutes. Sound familiar? A comfortable lead, a collapse condensed into an impossibly short window, a France legend delivering the sucker punch. It's almost the exact template of what Messi and Argentina did to England on Wednesday, except this time it was Zidane doing it, and it happened over 20 years ago. This fixture has formed for exactly this kind of heartbreak, which is precisely why calling Saturday meaningless misses the point so badly. And there's a second storyline running underneath all of this, and it's the manager. Thomas Tuchel walked into a wall of criticism after the Argentina game for the substitutions that turned a winning position into a defensive retreat and ultimately a defeat. That criticism hasn't gone anywhere in the 2 days since. It's still the headline, still the debate, still the thing every pundit wants his opinion on before this game even kicks off. So Saturday becomes something Tuchel almost certainly didn't want it to become. A response. Not to the World Cup itself, that chance is gone, but to the way his tournament ended. Does he go back to the cautious, defensive approach that's now under a microscope, or does he send a young, rotated England side out to actually play with freedom, precisely because there's nothing left to protect? How he sets his team up here will tell you a lot about whether he actually absorbed the criticism from Wednesday night or whether he's simply going to wait for it to blow over. Expect wholesale changes either way. With the tournament won and lost, both managers are expected to freshen things up considerably, and for England, that likely means fringe players finally getting a chance to make a mark on a World Cup that's largely passed them by. And the pundits haven't let up on him in the 2 days since Atlanta either. The general consensus from the ex-players who tore into his substitutions on Wednesday hasn't softened much heading into this one. The feeling from that camp is that a manager who was hired specifically to be braver than his predecessor now needs to actually show it, even in a game with nothing tangible riding on it, because if he can't be bold here, with no title left to lose, what does that tell you about how he'll approach the next major tournament with everything still on the line? That's the uncomfortable subtext sitting underneath every England team sheet question this week. There's also the matter of the players who barely featured against Argentina despite being available. Attacking options who were left unused on the bench in the biggest 30 minutes of the tournament are the obvious candidates to start on Saturday, and how Tuchel uses them, whether he lets them actually attack a tired France side or whether old habits creep back in the moment England get a lead, will be watched more closely than the scoreline itself. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend France arrive at this game feeling good about themselves, because they don't. Being outplayed and shut out by Spain in the semifinal was every bit as painful for them as the Argentina collapse was for England. Arguably more so, given how strong France had looked getting to that stage. There's also real uncertainty hanging over their squad. Defender William Saliba was forced off in that semifinal with a recurrence of a long-standing back issue, and his fitness for Saturday is genuinely in doubt, which would be a significant blow to a backline that already looked shaky under Spanish pressure. And there's a bigger story hanging over the entire France camp. This is reportedly the final match of Didier Deschamps' long reign as manager. A farewell nobody, in the French camp particularly wanted to be staging in a third-place playoff rather than a final. A World Cup winner in 2018 and a runner-up in 2022, Deschamps will want his last night in charge to end with a medal around his players' necks rather than another empty afternoon in the sun. That's real motivation on the other side of the pitch. Whatever the neutral takes want to tell you about this game being meaningless for everyone involved. Here's a genuinely fun wrinkle that gives this game an extra edge. Kylian Mbappe currently sits level at the top of the tournament's scoring charts, and because Messi is saving himself for Sunday's final rather than playing on Saturday, this is Mbappe's very last opportunity to add to his total and potentially finish the tournament as its outright top scorer. Harry Kane sits a couple of goals back, but is more than capable of adding to his own tally in a game his side would happily use to salvage some personal pride from a brutal week. So even inside a match, both sets of fans have been calling pointless, you've got two of the best number 9s on the planet with genuine individual incentive to go and win it. That's not nothing. That's a storyline in its own right. Let's be completely honest about England's history in this exact fixture, because it isn't pretty. This will be the third time England have played for third place at a World Cup, and both previous attempts ended in defeat, against Italy in 1990 and against Belgium in 2018. There is no bronze medal in England's men's football history. None. Zero. It's the one shelf in the trophy cabinet that's been empty for 60 years, right alongside the big one. France, on the other hand, have actually won this exact fixture before, lifting bronze back in 1958. So even the small print of history slightly favors the French going into Saturday, which is exactly the kind of quietly damning statistic this current England side seems to specialize in walking straight into. And that's really the heart of why this game matters more than the neutral dead rubber framing suggests. If England lose this, the story of this tournament becomes total heartbreak, top to bottom, no silver lining anywhere. The same team that's been knocked out by the best side they faced yet again, now also losing the game that was supposed to be the softest landing available. If they win it, they at least walk away from this World Cup with something concrete to point to. A response. Proof that Wednesday night didn't break them completely. There's a bigger picture point buried in here too. England and France have actually met on the international stage more than 30 times across their history, and only 3 of those meetings have come at a World Cup itself. That scarcity is part of why every single one carries extra weight. This isn't a fixture these two sides play every year for fun. When England and France meet at a World Cup, it tends to mean something has gone right for one of them and badly wrong for the other, and history so far reads entirely in France's favor on that front. So here's where I land on all of this. Everyone's telling you to skip Saturday and save your energy for the real final on Sunday. I understand the instinct. Argentina and Spain for the World Cup itself is obviously the bigger occasion by every objective measure. But Saturday has genuine stakes hiding inside it that Sunday simply doesn't. It's the chance for England to finally beat the team that's haunted this specific generation of players since that missed penalty in Qatar. It's Tuchel's first real chance to answer his critics with something other than words. It's Deschamps potentially bowing out in charge of France for the very last time, and it's 2 of the best strikers on the planet chasing an individual prize that only one of them can actually win on this particular day because the other guy chasing it is busy elsewhere. Call it a bronze medal match if you want. I'm calling it the revenge game. And I think there's a version of Saturday where it ends up being more emotionally loaded for England fans specifically than anything that happens at MetLife on Sunday. So that's where we are. England, 60 years without a men's World Cup, 4 years without a win over this exact opponent, and one entire footballing generation still carrying that missed penalty around with them like a stone in their pocket. Saturday in Miami is the chance to finally put at least one small piece of that history right, even if the biggest prize is already gone for another 4 years. Does Tuchel send this team out to actually play, freed from the pressure that broke them against Argentina? Does Kane get the moment back that Qatar took from him? Does Mbappe simply do what Mbappe does and settle the golden boot race before Messi even gets his final kick of the tournament? I don't know the answers yet, but I know I'm not skipping this one, and if you've read this far, I don't think you should either. Drop your prediction below. Straight win for England, a repeat of history for France, or another late gut punch nobody saw coming. And once Saturday's done, we go again, because Sunday is Messi's shot at immortality against a Spain side that's looked untouchable all tournament, and that is a conversation on its own.